That's right. We met on the wires. Look at that. How about that? Oh, there's a big welcome for you. Look at that. Look at that. Now,
I can take you through of this, can't
sit. Well done. Sit down. Well, now, I can assure you that was totally spontaneous. Nobody knew you were coming on. Nobody knew you were here. Nobody knew anything about it. So there you are. That's a measure of your popularity. Just flown in from London, literally by fast coach and four?
Yes, we rushed, but we made it.
Good to have you.
And the talks were still going on in number 10. I had to leave just before they finished.
And?
Well, if I had let you down, I would never have been forgiven, would I?
Absolutely. But what have you to report from the talks?
What I have to report from the talks is they were still going on, so I don't know finally the outcome. They spent a wee while in round table, which is a good sign. But progress is being made slowly. Nothing will happen. It's one of the misunderstandings people have about the process. It's not like a light switch. You don't turn it on and peace suddenly arrives. Oh, hello, it's there. It takes time. What can I hear?
Are you not worn out by now with the entire
I'm fed up.
process?
I get tired, yeah.
You do get tired, of course.
But everybody does. But we have made incredible progress over the last year. We being the parties themselves.
Everybody.
And it's building on what others have done before us. It's not just us. Previous Irish governments, John Major, a whole host of people made it happen. And there's not a leader in that process that doesn't want to make it work, about any of the parties. And the people, both North and South, want it.
Of course.
And it's up to all of us to hold our nerve and make it happen.
Okay. What is your weekly... Salud. What is your weekly routine? Remind me of it again. You're in Belfast, you're back to London, you're in Redcar,
It varies, really. I mean, during the talks, I tend to spend Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, go back cabinet on Thursday to London, and then every other weekend I go to my constituency in the north of England. I have to say, almost every other weekend. During the last couple of months, I've missed the odd Friday. But I've kept it up since we got elected. So it's pretty random. I mean, it moves and changes week by week, but I now almost live in Belfast. I've stopped voting in the House of Commons, which is a bit naughty.
The wonder of it is that this job has been, for most politicians of your persuasion and any persuasion, it's been a poisoned chalice, and yet you have somehow turned it round and made it into a fantastic success.
Well, I think it's only because of the work that was done before. I mean, we inherited a situation where progress was being made, and the people wanted progress to happen. Parties have worked at it. Now, of course, we've worked hard, and we were very clear when we went in that the process had to be as inclusive as possible, and we had to move it forward with the greatest momentum as possible. But we couldn't have done it unless there was a will to do it. And all I've really brought to it is a determination and what I call a nag factor.
A nag factor, yes.
You know,
nag.
I don't like the word no.
Yes. Nag.
Yeah, I have a little list every morning, and I check it, and then I check at the end of the night, and I have another list the next one. I drive people bananas.
But you haven't lost out at home in Redcar because of your commitment to Northern Ireland and Belfast?
No, because people in Redcar are decent folk, and in fact I find it quite disturbing sometimes, because I do my fortnightly surgery, and people come in and say, I'm ever so sorry to bother you. And I say, but, you know, that's what I'm here for. Yeah. And they say, but you're so busy across there in Ireland. And I say, yeah, but, you know,
you must
whatever
have
you've got.
very kind constituents.
No, but
indeed,
I think people across the UK, north, south and the island, Scotland, Wales and England, want this to happen, want peace to come. And my constituents feel that their little services do not trouble me too much. And I feel sad about that, because I have a good staff permanently in the constituency, and, you know, we can continue to help them. But they'll come and say, whatever it is, this is not as important as what you're doing. But the honest answer, it is for them, whether it's their house, whether it's child support agency, whether it's benefit problems. It's a real problem.
How is your health?
Right, I'm just burping, but it's because I ate very quickly.
That's what provoked me into asking you, yes?
My problem was I ate on the plane coming across very quickly. I'm fine. As you can tell, my hair's nearly back, and the hairdresser just had a quick chance to cover the bald spot, which is still there. But I got the all clear 6 months after the radiotherapy, and
you're grand.
Oh, I'm still a bit fat.
Did you meet Hillary during the week?
Oh, Friday. Yes, I did this week. Yes, she was across in Belfast.
Yes. And she's almost as popular as you.
She's a lovely person.
Yes.
We had a very good evening. Gossiped.
Yes, gossip. What did you gossip about? Go on.
I'm going to tell you.
I do. Go on.
We have a rule, in the Northern Ireland office.
Yes.
Called the book rule.
Yes. What's that?
And before you do any programme, or particularly before you come on here.
Yes. What are you...
Well, remember when Peter Brook, 9 years ago, sang Clementine?
I know.
And never recovered.
I know.
I mean, it was a serious thing. So
why didn't he say no?
Because they say you're very persuasive.
I'm not persuasive. I said, would you sing us? He knew what had gone on in Northern Ireland that day. I didn't, precisely because he was here.
I'm not blaming you, Gay. All I'm saying
everybody else blames me.
I don't.
Everybody else. He was a very nice man.
37 years.
I know, I'm used to it, yeah. But
Peter
he was
is a lovely man.
Lovely man, and gentlemanly, courteous man.
Did a lot to get this process working. He took risks, which for his party were quite big.
So you were warned about the Late Show, were you? Yeah.
Warned?
Oh, warned. Oh. Be careful what you say to him.
Don't sing, don't dance, don't move, don't swear, don't move. And I've been told to not be lulled into a false sense of security by him.
So, nothing about Hillary. Nothing about Hillary. She's just in good... Is she good? Is she in good form?
She's in good form. We had a good night.
Okay.
Last time I went across to America, I stayed at the White House. I stayed in the Lincoln bedroom, which is very nice.
Yes.
I'm just debating whether I should tell you. Now I will.
Yes.
They won't forgive me. What happened when I was there, I was in the Lincoln bedroom. We had trouble across here, and with the time difference.
Yes.
So I was in my bed most of the night talking to Belfast. And at about 4 o'clock in the morning, the telephonist came on the line and said, there's a call for Dr. Mowlam. And the telephonist said, she's in Mr. Lincoln's bedroom. Not knowing that it was... And so I was just worried with the way the media goes at you these days.
Well, if they don't, I'll spread it, I can tell you that. I'll spread it, tell everybody about it. Tell our audience, many of them would not know, who is your husband, what does he do, where do you live, and how many children have you?
I have no children. I have 2 stepchildren. One, a boy of 11 and a girl of 15, 16, going on 26. I have a husband, John, who did work in a bank until week before last, when he was made redundant. So, and I was rushed back from Belfast, terror, mortgage, car loans, what are we going to do? And he was sitting at home, glass of whiskey in his hand, and I said, how are you? Free! I'm free! And he's as happy as anything.
That's all bloody fine, but who's going to put the butter on the parsnips?
He's going to be a kept man.
This boy is a smart boy.
Are you looking forward to giving up?
Yes, I am.
Free!
The glass of whiskey just reminds me, actually. Wonderful, wonderful. Now, do you have a dartboard in the office?
I do.
For what?
Well,
play darts, she's going to say.
I know, but to play darts, but we had a Christmas holiday 2 or 3 years ago, and it was the Christmas it snowed. Remember it snowed badly?
Yes.
We were in Cork and it snowed, and we went across the mountains to Tralee, trying to get to Dingle Bay, and couldn't. We got, I was going to say stuck in Tralee, which I don't know. And we stayed there, and there was nothing else to do, because it was between Christmas and New Year, but go to the pubs. So we took the 2 kids to the pubs. Well, they are now snooker players, dart players, card players,
an upbringing in Tralee is a wonderful grounding, I always say. Absolutely.
Drink Guinness? I mean, they're well trained.
Well trained.
And from that time of playing darts, and the other thing which the Gardaí won't appreciate, but I'll tell you, the time after we were down somewhere and we just finished, and so we had a game of darts in a pub. And me and my security beat the Gardaí. Because now I put it on your show, the Gardaí will never let me get away with coming south and not playing darts. Yeah. So I have it in the office, and when I get a chance I practice, and when I get frustrated with people, I have numbers for different people.
Yes, and you imagine their faces. Wonderful. Did you ever end up crying in the job because of the frustration, the anger?
I've come close.
Have you?
Yeah, of course.
Have you really?
Well, it is very frustrating.
Yeah.
But I haven't sat and wallowed in it, because in the end, tough though it is, and it is tough, and we're in a tough time at the moment, but just as all day today, there isn't anybody in the talks out of all the party leaders that I believe doesn't want to make progress. They all do, but they're all finding it very difficult. And so put that against what people both here in the south and in the north voted for in the referendum, the anniversary of which is next weekend, then it means that however frustrated any of us get, we've got to keep going.
Coming from where you came from and coming to Belfast for the first time, I mean, I was born and reared in this country. Did it not seem extraordinary to you, one of the many things that might fix a long list of things that seem strange, that a bunch of outflas, fat in suits and bowler hats and wearing a sash, want to march up and down a road banging a drum, and there's another crowd saying, no, you're not coming down this road? I mean, if they gave them 20 minutes to do it, it'd all be over.
What struck me first when I came, and it must have been 10 years ago when I first came, is how beautiful it was. In both the north and the south are just beautiful places to be.
Yes, but then...
So that is my overwhelming view. And on the marches, it takes you a while to understand, but it is important that you understand both sides, because if you don't, you'll never understand Northern Ireland.
I am obviously being simplistic, but it's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy.
You know, you have to remember, whatever you think is crazy, or others think are crazy, people have basic rights. There is a right to march, whether you like it or others like it or not, which...
I wouldn't quibble with that.
Let me finish. They have a right to march, part of the American Constitution. Others have a right to live free of fear and intimidation. Now, what we've got with the parades is competing rights, overlain by years of bigotry.
Yes.
Now, what you...
Centuries.
Centuries. Years and years and years and years. Now, the only way you can do that, deal with that, is begin to get people talking, which is what we're struggling to do and have been struggling ever since we came into government, and at the same time show people where violence is a kind of subplot of the culture in Northern Ireland, that there is an alternative way forward called talking, non-violent peace. And that's what we're working to find a way forward. Now, they'll slowly edge forward as it's happening now. You may take 2 steps forward, 3 back, but I don't think anybody believes we'll go back to where you were, You
don't think that?
No.
No, you don't.
I think, however, I still have confidence that we're going to make it. But even if it gets tough, and it will get tough in the months ahead, no one will go back to where they were. And I believe there's a desire for every community here to make it. And we're going to keep going till they do.
You were voted, well, you know that you were voted #1 most popular government minister in The Guardian this week. Not only that, but this woman that you see before you has become truck driver pin-up all over the UK after a Geordie articulated truck driver gave you a mention on the Parky show. And now your image, your photograph is up in articulated drivers' cabins all over the UK.
When it actually started, it started on the Parky show.
Yes.
And it started because when I was as fat as I am now and had less hair than I do now, I was described by a journalist who didn't know I had been on steroids and therefore was fat and had no hair and a bit bulbous, as something like the back end of a Geordie truck or something.
Yes.
And I don't blame her, because she didn't know what I'd been through. I did look like a back end of a Geordie truck. And Michael Parkinson brought it up in a kind of vaguely derogatory way towards Geordie truck drivers. And I just said I quite like Geordie truck drivers, which I do. So I'm now a pinner.
You want me to take a call, Dennis? On what line? Pray, let us see. Oh, line 2, I beg your pardon. Sorry, wrong line. Line 2. Hello, line 2.
Good evening, Gay.
Good evening, sir.
And good evening, Dr. Mowlam.
Hello.
I have a question for you, Dr. Mowlam. Apart from your appearance on The Late Show, what one thing would you like to be remembered for when you finally do leave politics?
When I eventually do what? What was the last word?
Leave politics.
When you eventually leave politics.
Okay. I'd like to be remembered for bringing happiness and tolerance, respect, saving lives, making a difference so that people can have a normal existence.
Excellent.
Thank you, caller. Well done. Thank you. We touched on a couple of things in our radio interview, which I remember with great happiness and joy. One was, you were talking about that you, being a woman, you have an advantage. Just tell me about that again, that you do think you have an advantage because
I said that I believe there are advantages and disadvantages in being a woman in the job. There are disadvantages because some people don't like working with women, aren't good working with women, and therefore it's tougher. There's some advantages about being a woman. I think we're better compromisers than men. I think we're trained as we grow up in that. But I also went on to say that I think some of the advantages that I bring with me are not because of my gender, but because of my character. I have a sense of humour. I do enjoy life. And I think those are the things that some people find difficult to cope with. Does that answer you?
Yes, that's not bad. But better compromisers.
Thank you.
What do you mean? What do you mean better compromisers?
I think that when it comes, we are less likely to say, this is the only way you can do this. You know, who was I listening to on the telly last night? It was something to do with animals. And the man talking was just totally definitive. This is the only way that animals can be looked after. And I thought, that's a man speaking. No, that doesn't go. It's not a gross generalisation. Some women aren't, some women are, some men are. But I think it's a continuum of male and female behaviour, and I think women bunch better on listening.
Yes.
You're an exception to this, obviously, Gay.
Thank you. And did you find that you were condescended to or patronised or whatever in Belfast, for example, in Northern Ireland, with the people you were dealing with?
I find I'm still condescended to and patronised by men.
Everywhere?
Everywhere.
Really?
Yeah. They do it subconsciously. I think it's genetic.
It's not their fault.
They do it. Well, no, I won't go that far.
All right.
They do it automatically. They're just not used to having women around. But the places where you do have more women around, it happens less. Used to be bad in the House of Commons, but now we've got over 100. It's beginning to change. Hasn't changed completely, but it's beginning.
You talked about your father to me on the wireless programme, Lord rest him, and observing, as no doubt you did, that the abuse of drink is just as bad in Northern Ireland as it is down here. Did you
said that, not me.
Yes. Just as bad up there as it is down here. Well, it is. I mean, we're fairly tough drinkers as a nation, sort of thing. Does this revolt you or?
No.
No.
No. People make those choices in their lives. I drink, I enjoy it, I enjoy whiskey. But there's a difference between enjoying drink and being an addict. And whether you're addicted to drink or drugs or whatever, then it becomes a problem.
Yes, and did your father's death and he was an alcoholic and so on, did that colour your attitude for the rest of your life? Did that leave a scar?
It's very difficult for me to answer whether it left a scar or not. It didn't in terms, I don't kind of take a whiskey and think, oh, I'm becoming an alcoholic. I think it's in your head, and I think it's about confidence and about sense of self. I don't think I have alcoholic tendencies.
You haven't?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
No, it's just that a couple of friends of mine whose fathers were alcoholic or mother were alcoholic, they avoid drink altogether, just in case, as it were. No, not in your case.
I don't see any point. You only have one life. I enjoy life, and you don't do anything to excess. I mean, I'm getting sick to death of reading in the paper, too much red wine is bad for you, too much whiskey is bad for you, too much of this is bad. Next month you read, red wine's good for the heart. And I think if you just eat and drink in sensible proportions and enjoy it, then you're likely not to be stressed and have a good life.
When... When, if ever, do you really feel fagged out and tired and
I feel a bit on your programme tonight.
It's not bad, is it? Shucks, you needn't have said that on my second last show. You didn't have to say that.
I get tired like everybody else that does the kind of weeks that we do.
Yeah.
But I rest at weekends. I enjoy playing with the kids, and you just pace yourself.
Yes. And do you rest at weekends?
I sleep.
You sleep? Yeah.
I sleep, I drink, I walk, I play with the kids.
Okay.
I'm normal.
Yes, well, God knows I know that. But would you have chosen the job if you had known in advance that this was the job you're going to get? And would you go again, or would you prefer another ministry? Come on.
Yes.
You've just confused me now. You would have chosen the job if you had known in advance, and you would go again.
Yes.
But is there anything you would prefer?
No.
Chancellor of the Exchequer?
No.
Foreign Office?
No. I'm very happy doing what I'm doing.
In spite of all the travel and the planing and all of that?
Yeah, it's tiring, it's exhausting, but if one can make a difference in this, which is a serious, proper job,
Yes.
then it counts.
Yes. Okay. And one last thing. I know you took it upon yourself. Pardon?
Is this the last question?
Yes, probably. Unless I think of something else. Well, questions keep on occurring to me, and I promise not to keep you all that. Anyway, going in to see the prisoners and releasing murderers, I know you got a ferocious amount of criticism for that, and on the other hand, you got backing for it as well. Tell me about that. You simply decided you had to do it, is that?
No, I was talking to a particular group, and they said to me, the prisoners don't believe what we're telling them. We're in difficulty. So I went out and checked with my private secretary and the permanent secretary, and they couldn't see any difficulty with me going into the maze. So I did, for the simple reason that if you're going to stop violence, you have to start talking. It's as simple as that. And if you don't talk to people, you won't make progress. And whether it's inside the maze or outside the maze, it has to be done. Yes, it was a risk, but if you don't take risks, you don't make progress. I didn't enjoy going into the maze. But you have to do those things, I believe, if you're going to change the mindsets and change the history.
And how did you find these guys? Were they mannerly? Were they courteous to you? Were they
Yes.
treated you well and spoke
very
frankly?
polite.
And so on? Yes.
They had long trousers on, and I was told by one of the prison officers that was special. They usually wear shorts because it's hot. So they covered their legs up.
In case they might inflame you with passion or something, I suppose.
Oh, no, I don't think that.
Oh, you don't think no. And did they speak frankly to you? And
Yes.
Were you thinking these guys have done awful, appalling things? That's why they're in here.
It does go through my head.
People,
yes.
Yes,
and it is tough. And I wouldn't willingly let people out of prison. I mean,
quite. Yeah.
It is very tough to do, particularly when you talk to victims who've lost wives or husbands or children due to the people that either side have killed.
Yes.
But in the end, if you don't offer people an alternative, you won't find an alternative. And I have to say, some of the people I respect most in Northern Ireland are those who've lost family, who've suffered and will suffer for the rest of their lives, who are strong enough to say, I despise what you're doing. I think what you're doing is appalling.
To you, they say.
To me,
yes,
to my face.
Yes.
But then they go on and say, but keep on doing it, because otherwise more families will go through what we're going through. Now, that keeps me going in a perverse sort of way, as does the letters I get from people across North and South and elsewhere saying very often that they hate me for what I do, but they want me to keep doing it. So that's what you have to do at a time of change. That's why the talks I just left. Yes, they're difficult. Yes, they're tough. But people have got to hold their nerve and keep going, because as normalcy begins to arrive, and I don't know how long since you've been in the north.
Recently, yes, yes.
You begin, do you not, in Belfast and elsewhere, to see a change. New hotels, kids are going clubbing,
yes.
You know, waterfront, lots is happening, tourism is up, investment is up, unemployment's down, you know, all the things are changing.
Yes.
And people's lives are changing. That's the best guarantee for peace.
Yes, but the hardcore hate that and despise that.
Yeah, but the hardcore, which is very small on both sides, dissident groups, 100 in the north, I don't know how many hundreds in the south, but it's minuscule.
Yes.
They will continue to do what they are trying to do now, which is to destroy the Good Friday Agreement.
Unless
we make progress, keep momentum going, show people there is an alternative to violence that works, that by the consent of the people north and south they'll get what they want, and in the north, I mean, the basic problem always was, and that's why nobody said you could move forward, that one side wanted a united Ireland and the other side wanted the status quo. What the Good Friday Agreement did was say consent. It is the consent of the people in the north. Got a little note coming.
Got a little note, yeah.
The consent of the people in the north, both communities, have to decide the way forward. So neither side can dictate. And if you use a peaceful mechanism, deal with the inequalities, deal with the injustices, deal with the unfairness, then you have a chance. And that's what we're trying to do.
All right. Well, God strengthen your hand. It just says, go to a break if you want and take music after. That's all. Dennis, helping you with this. The guy has to change his guitar or tune his guitar. I beg your pardon. Yes, ma'am. Hello.
If Gay will allow me, I'd like to present Dr. Mowlam with a peace badge from the Irish Peace Institute.
Of course. Come on down. Come on down, as they say in other television programs. Come on down. A very good idea. Anish Aberlum Kehe Tussa.
Una Heaton.
Una from us where?
I met you in singing in the bath. Here.
You met me and sing. You met me. Did you hear what she said? She met me singing in the bath.
He doesn't recognise me with my clothes on.
I don't recognise her with her clothes on. That's what she said. You're right.
Dr. Mowlam, pleased to meet you.
Very nice to see you.
On behalf of the Irish Peace Institute.
Come.
I'd like to present you with a peace badge.
Thank you very much.
Right. Pax. Will you stop whispering all over the place?
We met in Belfast, so she had the art thing. We met in Belfast, she had a clothes on. So it's
I had hold on, actually. I was freezing at the time.
That was unusual.
And you're doing superb work.
Thank you very much indeed.
We do a little bit.
Where did I meet you in the bath with your clothes on?
Sing on the bath in the Gay Burns show.
That was Joe Duffy, wasn't it?
No, years ago.
It was me. Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was yours.
Well.
Yeah, in the bathroom
for a long
boutique.
time.
Yes, I know, Mo. You don't have to remind me, but there you are.
Thank you. Keep going on the good work, right?
I've seen so many.
If people keep going at the politicians, that will make the difference.
It's the people. I wish I could say this one for everybody in the audience, but we can't afford it. We've no money.
No, but they feel it. They feel it.
Would you like to make a bid for the money now?
Yeah, good idea. Anybody out there wants to support us?
We can do without your bright ideas on this show. Thank you very much indeed. Well done. Let me walk you out. Mowlam, ladies and gentlemen. I'm getting rid of you now. Yes. I'm getting rid of you now. Off you go. Thank you very, very much indeed. It was lovely to see you. Give us a kiss before you go. Give us a kiss before you go.
I kiss you, Mary. Thank you very much.
God bless you. All right. God bless you. Thank you. Mind yourself. Thank you.
Yes?
You mind yourself. What?
Can I just say thank you to Gay for not just tonight, because this is the first time I've done it, but for the last 37 years, because people tell me you've done a grand job and brought a lot of happiness. And I'm also told, and I've got to say this, otherwise I don't win a bet, that there was no sex in the Republic until the late show.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Goodbye. Hey, let's take the music. Will you take the music? We'll take the music. We'll take the music. What the hell? Isn't she lovely and indefatigable and just keeps on going, and it's wonderful. Yeah, I think I'll take the music now, Dennis. Why not? Because, look, our next guest has been